The other day I made a roast chicken in the oven, and I made it with potatoes and some paprika, rosemary, olive oil, salt and pepper. Nothing special, absolutely delicious, just to evidence that the simplest meal can still taste absolutely delicious. Today I'll be doing something similar using eggs. And in my view, the egg came before the chicken, by the way, in case there are any doubts. But if you think otherwise, let me know in the comments. However, I've got here in front of me a tray of fresh eggs. They come from Jenna. Jenna is Julie's sister, and a next door neighbor I've got a small holding with chickens and some other animals, and we tend to buy most of our eggs from them. And they're lovely. You can see they're all different shapes, different colors, because of the different age of the chicken and so on. Also, I've got here some supermarket eggs. I bought these especially yesterday. They are labeled as L for large, and unsurprisingly they are all the same size and the same color as you'd expect from supermarket eggs. Also, supermarket eggs, the chickens, are really clever in my view, because look, they lay the eggs with the date already and when to eat them by. Anyway, and also I've got here some quail eggs. We went to a garden centre, Julie and I, a couple of days ago, and garden centre, by the way, in the UK also sell fresh eggs. They often have got chickens as well, which is quite interesting. And I saw these on the counter, and I had to buy them because I had to do something with those as well. So I'll go through 3 different recipes, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the science alongside the eggs, and hopefully it will entertain you a little. I think quail eggs are fascinating and really beautiful. Look at them, the color and also the pattern. There isn't one that is identical to the other one. Almost a shame to cook with them, really. And today I have decided to make some Italianized Scotch eggs. Scotch eggs, for those people who might live outside of the UK, are a typical English way of cooking eggs. And I'm using quail eggs, but generally they tend to also use normal chicken eggs, maybe the smaller one. I'm gonna be making 9, by the way, because I'm gonna keep 3 for later for another recipe. So what are Scotch eggs? Hard-boiled egg in the middle, peeled without the shell, of course, and then there is a coating of minced meat, and then it's also rolled in flour, and sometimes it's fried or sometimes it's cooked in the oven. I think they might add the odd little mild spice. My Italianized version is going to be different because I'm going to be using mince, pork mince instead of mince meat, and I will be flavorizing it. But I just place them on the hob, and the way to cook little quail eggs to ensure that they are properly cooked, it's you effectively put cold water in a pan and make sure that they're covered, and I'll wait until the water reaches the boil, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll leave them in the water for about 6 to 7 minutes, and then they will be ready. But I'll show you that. Have you ever tried quail eggs? They are very similar in taste to normal eggs, but obviously considerably smaller, a little bit richer maybe. The water started to boil, and I removed them from the heat immediately as soon as it started boiling, and I'll place the lid on, and I will leave it for 6 minutes, and during this time they will finish cooking and they will become hard. If you want to make them soft, 1 minute. Did you know that hens start laying eggs from anything between 18 to 20 weeks? And also when they start, they're very small. I'll show you. Jenna's given me specifically some eggs from very young hens. If I show you them against a fully grown chicken egg, you can see that they are considerably smaller. It's not until they get a little bit older that also they start laying 1 egg a day. And then when they get very old, they then slow down. But also their eggs get quite big when they get older. Also, have you ever wondered why sometimes you get a double yolker? And that is actually down to very often young hens, where their reproductive system is not fully formed, and they release more than 1 yolk. And it's not until they get a little bit older, yet again, that they start laying, let's call them normal eggs. Equally well, when they get older, they also can release more than one yolk, and you can get the same. So generally, when a chicken is at their prime, they will lay one egg a day, but generally tend to be one yolk. I was reading some fun facts about double yolkers, and I noticed that there is a world record in the Guinness Book of Records, and the amount of yolks in a single egg was 9, and that was from a hen in 1971, I think it was, from a farm in New York, a lady called Linda Hemsworth from the Hemsworth's, I think it's Hemsworth's, yes, egg farm, and her chicken laid an egg with 9 yolks. Can you imagine that? That actually is a fact in the World Book of Records, July 1971. But the likelihood is that among some of these eggs, actually there's going to be a double yolker. I opened one the other day and I did have a double yolker because some of those eggs are from very young hens. Also, eggs have got a protective membrane, I think it's called the bloom, and when supermarkets provide you with eggs, they are washed, and that membrane is pretty much washed away. So that's why when you're buying supermarket eggs, they suggest that you keep them refrigerated, because they haven't got that membrane to protect them. Whereas actually eggs from a farm, they last considerably longer, and often they can actually be on your counter for weeks before they go off. So that's something else which I actually learned in my research. However, before I lose the thread of where I am, I have been mixing some pork mince with some herbs. I've used some rosemary, some basil and some parsley. Also I've added some grated Parmesan cheese. This is nutmeg, and I've got here some pepper, which I'm going to be grating in, and a little salt, and that will be my mix for my Scotch eggs. Not a lot of salt, as I've got a fair amount of cheese in there, and they could become a little bit too salty. So I mix this together, and this will give me a beautiful marinade. Actually also there is a clove of garlic, which you will have seen me crushing in. In the meantime, my quail eggs will have finished cooking, so I'm going to be rinsing them under cold water, and then I'll show you what I do next to make them very easy to peel. I'm going to use this glass jar, mostly so that you can see what I'm going to be doing. This is cold water once again. I'll just add maybe a third. And here are my quail eggs, which I've cooled down, and I'll put them inside. Obviously, if you're doing this, you can also use a plastic Tupperware container, but do ensure that that's got the lid. And I'll just give them a vigorous shake for about 5 seconds. That is it. Let's take a look. They're very soft, so it's worked. And I'll get them all out and I'll show you. And as you can see, I'm going in with my finger and very easily removing the shell. No problem whatsoever. The shell is a little bit softer than normal eggs, and you can see in no time at all I'm actually done now. And the more important thing really is, besides it being easier, is that I do not want to damage the white. So all done. I'll just give them a little rinse under water so that I get rid of the remaining parts, and they're done. So here I've got some flour, plain flour, any flour will be fine. These are dry breadcrumbs, and I'm going to add a little more Parmigiano on top of them, just a little, maybe about 1 teaspoon. Also, I will be needing an egg, and I'm very keen to see if these little eggs are double yolk or not. So let's have a look. I will need 2 anyway, because they are very small, but let's see if the theory works. Oops, that's 1. Let's try this one. That's 1. Never mind. Better luck next time. So I'll give them a quick beat with my fork. And of course, don't forget to mix your breadcrumbs with your Parmesan cheese. And back to my mince, I'll finish it off with my fingers to ensure that it's properly mixed. So I've got 9 quail eggs, so I will want to divide this into 9 little piles. I should have really made 8, it would have been considerably simpler to just cut it in the middle. Never mind, I'll do this one here, and then I'll cut this into 4. It doesn't really matter if they are not all identical. So I'll make a little ball first. I'll press it down with the palm of my hand. I'll get hold of one of my eggs and place it in the middle. and I'll gently start rolling it around it until I close it. And that is that. Once I'm done, I'll use the palm of my hands, a bit like if I was making a meatball, but I've been a little bit more careful because clearly there is an egg in there. Obviously, if you're making Scotch eggs using normal eggs, you need to accommodate the amount of mince you need more because they're going to be bigger. But this is perfect, look. And I'll show you once again and I'll do the rest. So I'll make a little indentation with my finger. Little quail egg come in and I'll press it down, and then I'll start lifting the sides of my mince until I can comfortably close it with my fingers. And just take your time and you will see that eventually you'll get there. I might have to borrow a little mince from another one here because this is a little bit too small. No problem at all. So as long as you manage to cover the entire surface, and then off you go and make a little ball. And that is another one done. So I'll make the rest and then I'll show you what to do next. I underestimated the amount of mince I needed. I used 300 grams, so I was actually only able to make 7, but it's not all lost. They're delicious. They are just like normal eggs, funny enough, but a little bit richer, as I mentioned before. Absolutely wonderful. And next is very straightforward, by the way, nothing complicated at all. So let's start with the flour. I'll get my Italianized Scotch egg and I'll roll it in the flour just like this, and make sure that it's completely covered. Then here is my egg, and in it goes on the egg. Ensure that the entire surface of the Scotch egg is covered with egg, and that is pretty much it. And I'll go to my breadcrumbs and Parmigiano, and I'll just roll it in there, and this is ready, and it will go on my little tray ready to go in the oven. You can also fry them, by the way, but I will opt for a slightly healthier version. So I'll do the rest and then I'll tell you how long to go in the oven for. And they're ready to go in the oven. Temperature 190 degrees for 20 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'll turn them around so that they cook throughout, and also they'll have a beautiful golden color all over. Of course, also you can shallow fry them. What I would do is a little olive oil in a frying pan, and then just start frying them like normal polpette until each side is cooked and coated and they are golden color. Obviously ensure that they are properly cooked. So I'll put this in the oven and I'll move on to recipe number 2. The other day I made a beans and lentils pasta, and I used Borlotti beans from our garden. The lentils were from the supermarket, and the pasta I used was macaroni, and it was absolutely delicious. I'll post the video up here if you would like to see what I've done. During the video I mentioned that when I was a young lad, my uncles used to also make a Borlotti beans frittata. Something which is a little bit unusual but very typical of where they live near Messina in Sicily, and that is exactly what I'll be making next. And just like the other day, I'm using fresh Borlotti beans from our garden, but if I didn't have them I would have used the dry stuff, but of course I would have soaked them overnight for at the very least 8 to 12 hours depending on the packaging. One of the things that did stuck to my mind about this frittata was that the Borlotti beans were complemented with sausages, so I will be adding some sausages in a little while, but if you are vegetarian, just leave the sausages out. It's also very nice. Also here I've got a good couple of handful, by the way, so they go in a saucepan, and very important, as I said before, to use cold water. So cold water goes in, and bearing in mind that these will not be cooking for very long, just enough to leave about an inch from the top, and I'll turn this on the maximum. I'll get hold of some salt over here, and I will add a pinch of salt now, and also I've got a bay leaf over here, so in it goes. And I will take them to the boil, and once they start boiling I leave them to simmer gently for about 20 to 25 minutes until they are cooked. And the way you know that they are cooked is just test one, and if it's soft and good enough to eat, it's cooked. I'm still searching for my double yolk, so I'm gonna use first the last of my 2 little eggs. No such luck, but I will also pick the smaller ones to see if they have got any double yolk. Let's try this one. Nope. And one more. No such luck. Also, let's see how they compare with supermarket eggs. So here's a supermarket egg, and I'll put it over here. Look at the difference in color. So, did you know why the ones from the farm are considerably richer in color and the supermarket one isn't? Mostly because of the diet that the chickens are on. The ones from the farm, they eat worms, but they also eat grass and mostly organic food. Whereas supermarket chickens are fed with grain mostly, and that gives a different color to the egg. This is considerably paler than this one. However, I don't think the taste is much different. Although people will swear that these are creamier, I'm not sure really, but to me they all taste very similar. But obviously these are more pleasant to look at, of course. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also I used some of the egg left from before, and I'll just use another one, and I'm going for another supermarket egg. There you go. Similar color once again. And once again, I'll go in with my fork, supermarket and farm eggs, and I'll mix them all up. Frying pan and a little olive oil at the base, not a lot, as I will be doing the sausages next, and they've got quite a bit of fat, but a little olive oil will help. And I'll just break them up using my hands, just like this. I've used the equivalent of 6 normal eggs and a couple of sausages, by the way. In terms of the beans, I think I said it, a couple of handfuls, so you can adjust it depending on how big you want your bean frittata to be. The sausages are beginning to sizzle, and I will leave them on the run for a couple of minutes. Small onion, very finely chopped, and you can join forces with the sausages, and I'll mix it together now, and I'll cook the onion and the sausages throughout until the onion is lovely and soft. I've got some rosemary, basil and parsley left from my previous recipe, so I'm gonna use them, but you can use anything you like. I would definitely use rosemary, even if it's the only herb. And I find that whenever I chop herbs together like this, the combined flavor is more powerful. Might be psychological, I don't know, but I've noticed that if I was to do them individually rather than combining them, the flavor is not as strong. Maybe just me. And I just went and got my Italianized Scotch eggs out of the oven as they're ready, and they're still making a little bit of a noise, and the smell is amazing. I will leave them to cool down and then I'll test them at the end. And I'm ready to put my frittata together. So sausages and onions are cooked and they can go in a bowl like this. My Borlotti beans are also ready. They are perfectly cooked. Do ensure that they're properly cooked, as when you make the frittata they will not be cooking anymore. And in they go. I'll go and rescue my chopped herbs next. This is Parmigiano Reggiano once again. You can use pecorino, you can use cheddar, any cheese you like, but I will be grating the equivalent of a couple of the teaspoons. That is perfect. Little pepper as always, of course. And I will be adding a little salt, not a lot as my cheese is fairly salty, but just a little pinch like this. A little amount of olive oil, not a lot once again, as this will help everything mix together. And I'm now ready to add my egg. There it goes. And as I'll go in with a spoon and I'll mix everything together. And this is absolutely perfect. If you look, there is just the right amount of quantities of ingredients. The Borlotti beans, I've got a good presence, but also there is sausage in there and onions and everything else. So I'm very happy with it. I'll turn the heat on fairly high to start with. Same pan, no need to wash it obviously, because it's got all of that beautiful flavor from my sausage in there and onion and so on. A little olive oil, but I'm gonna use a little tissue paper to kitchen paper, not tissue paper, to just spread it across like this. I'm not sure if you can see with the camera, but there is quite a lot of steam coming up because the pan is really hot. I'll turn the heat down also, so I don't want to burn it, but I want to give it a good start, so in it goes. And I'll turn it on to medium temperature, number 4 out of 9 in my case. I do not have a lid that covers this little pan, but I've got a big one here. So I'll place that on top, which will be perfectly okay. And I will leave it for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then I'll show you how to turn it around. Very important when you make frittata, any frittata on the hob of course, is to take your time, and 4 minutes have passed, and if you look, the sides, they look okay, nice and firm, but the top is still fairly liquidy. So I like to ensure that before I turn my frittata, the top is almost solid, so that it's considerably easier, and then the second run is not as long. So I'm going to put the lid back on and wait another couple of minutes, maybe 3 minutes, until this is a little bit more solid. See, a lot depends by the amount you're making, but also the liquidity of your frittata. So the denser, really, the quicker it will solidify. In my case, you saw, was quite runny. And sometimes also the type of eggs make a difference. I'm not sure if you ever cooked with the duck eggs. They are considerably bigger, and bakers absolutely love them because they actually puff up much more than normal eggs. But I've made frittata using duck eggs before, and I've noticed actually that they cook quicker. Not sure why, but so you're left to adjust it. But always remember, ensure that before you turn it, this is no longer liquid, but not necessarily fully cooked. And we should be almost there. Let's take a look. Yeah, actually it's not too bad. There is still a little bit on top, but I think it will be fine. Before you turn it, go in with a rubber spatula or something similar, and go in between the edge here. Make sure that it's properly dislodged. Also, if you go a fabulous spatula like this, you can also go underneath. Effectively what I'm doing, I'm trying to dislodge it from the bottom of my pan, so that I don't end up making a mess. The best check for you to do though is to ensure that it moves. You can see that it's just moved. I don't want to spoil it, so it should be okay. So little olive oil over here. Make sure that you have a plate that is slightly smaller than the circumference of your pan, and I'm going to apply a little amount of olive oil at the base, just like this, maybe a little bit less than that, never mind, and I'll spread it all over, and this will ensure that when I put my frittata on top, it will slip easily. And I'll put that on top just like this, and hopefully it will turn nicely. Let's have a look. Ooh, yes it has. It was there a little longer, so it's gone a little bit browner, but it's not burned, so I'm very happy with it. And now that I've got the oil, it will just slip in very, very easily. Something like this. I'll go back in with my spatula to ensure that it's in the middle, and I will leave it to now cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. It's cooked almost all the way through, but I want the top to become beautifully gold, as I will be turning this round, and the top or the bottom will be the top eventually. So I will leave it like that, but I will not be putting the lid on. Check if it's moving, and it is. New plate and a little one. In it goes. I'll turn it around. And are you ready to be amazed? Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? Absolutely stunning. I got my original plate here, which is what I'm going to use, as it is a little bit better to look at. And I'll put it in here, and I will leave it to cool down. And I'll start on my last recipe, which is eggs and soldiers. I'll see you in a minute. Now you might be asking me, Francesco, why are you showing us how to make eggs and soldiers, the oldest recipe on the planet? That's because I'm cooking, and I'm doing a program about eggs. How can I leave eggs and soldiers out from this recipe? One of the most beautiful recipes that children love, and it's impossible really, and the chickens will be very upset. By the way, let me show you. I'm going to use 1 egg from the supermarket, and I'm going to use 1 egg from Jenna's neighbor here. Look at the size of this one here. It must have been a very old chicken to make such a big egg. By the way, Julie, do you know what they say in Italy about old chickens?
I do, you told me enough times.
Right,
normally in some sort of disparaging way towards me, but go on.
Old chickens make good stock. Now you make whatever you like of that, but that's what they say in Italy. I've got the water boiling here, and make sure that it's gently boiling, not very high. And once it starts boiling, I'll place my eggs in, just like that. And you might use one of those fancy little tools. I either use a watch or Alexa, set timer for 4 minutes. And let's see.
4 minutes.
There you go.
Starting now.
So, if you want them nice and runny, 4 minutes. If you want them slightly medium, 6 minutes. If you want them hard and set, clearly 7 to 8 minutes, but I love mine nice and runny. And I've got my little soldiers already here.
Yeah.
I've put them under the grill and put some butter. In the UK we have got the option of salted or unsalted butter. Ironically, in Italy you cannot find, maybe you can these days, but you cannot find salted butter. And whenever my family come over here and they try the salted butter, they absolutely love it and they take some back with them.
It's much better, isn't
But
it?
these are ready, and I'll wait when Alexa is ready now. And there we go. Alexa, stop. I can get them out now. So that's number 1 over there, and the number 2.
Now, as much as I love eggs and soldiers,
Yeah,
I'm more interested in the others, but I hope one of these is for me.
of course it is. I just wanted to see what the difference is in the egg, because this is from Jenna and this is from the supermarket. So let's have a look at the one from Jenna's neighbor first. Oh, there it is, nice and runny, look, beautiful. By the way, if you're cooking eggs for very young children or for more vulnerable people, although in the UK, especially supermarket eggs, they've got this little lion over here, which is now shedded away, means that they are salmonella free. Always cook them a little bit longer, best to be on the safe side. But this is, Julie, can you come closer to the egg? So this is the one from the farm, and I'm going to now open the one from the supermarket. And there he goes. And let's have a look. Try this one first. Oh, so that is the color of the yolk.
Lovely.
Let's try the second one. You can see that it's a little bit paler.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I did
a
actually.
lot paler, actually.
I did actually compare them earlier when I was cooking these Scotch eggs. But
I'm
let's
sure
try
they'll still taste nice.
this one first. Wow, like an egg. But I want to see if this is different or not, because they are side by side. I changed my mind. They are creamier, a little bit tasty actually. Clearly they both taste of egg, but actually they are a little bit creamier and beautiful, really, really nice. Okay, now let's try the rest of the stuff, and then do you want to try some, Julie?
Oh yeah.
You know what?
I'm coming in. I'm coming in. Thank you.
She doesn't want to try, she just wants to eat.
That's why I came.
Okay, now let's go here next. This is Italianized Scotch eggs, and if Julie can closer so I can show you as I cut through. They are nice and cold, of course. So here is my knife, and I'll go through the middle to ensure that I can cut through the egg. These are the one with the quail eggs.
Oh, lovely.
They look lovely, absolutely delicious. Oh, we will establish that in a moment. Oh, oh, they're to die for. I like Scotch eggs in the UK, but these are far superior, trust me. Not because they're Italian, they just they got rich more spices and more cheese. They are absolutely wonderful, and you should try and make them. Honestly, they are absolutely beautiful. And lastly, let's go for the beans and sausage frittata, which also has cooled down, so it is much easier to clearly cut through it.
Oh yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, aren't they? Look at this. Ready? Look. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Let's cut a little slice. I'll put it here. Do you want to try some of this?
Yeah.
It's the Pope Catholic. There you go. You have the little one, and I have the big one.
I'm still enjoying that lovely Scotch egg. That was really nice.
Everything is really delicious. The frittata is unique. I'm not sure if you ever tried anything similar before, but it's absolutely to die for, especially because there's a sausage in there as well, but equally nice would be without the sausage. So we're done. If you've enjoyed the video, let me know, and If you've made anything like this, I'm sure that they've done eggs and sausages before, but if you've made Scotch eggs, Italian style or whatever style, let me know and what you think, and good luck if you make the frittata. Obviously you can make it with peas, anything else, but try with Borlotti beans, really, really delicious. Thank you for watching and arrivederci, grazie. Ciao ciao.